Hello, my name is Sasha Bozio, and welcome to my channel, Log Into Yourself. Today, we want to explore the questions, are you addicted to your phone? Let's find out. So there's no clinical description or acknowledgement of internet addiction or cell phone addiction. I think the closest we have in the official literature is addiction to gambling. But if you do some research and you find out, and I also don't want to get too clinical and medical here, but I think it's a really good assessment to really catch ourselves and see what directions we're heading. If you do some research online, you have a couple interesting questions that come up. And this video should give you like a good overview to ask yourself those questions and see what does your behavior look like. Are you really heading towards an addictive behavior with your phone? Again, the problem with internet or phone addiction is that it doesn't create something like alcoholism in the first place. It doesn't create maybe abusive behavior, physical deterioration, and all of the other things that come with substance abuse. But what we can see is that our mental capacity, our physicality, sleep, being relaxed, and all other kinds of things, increased anxiety, is increasing. So even though it might be very subtle in the beginning, I think it's very important to be aware. So let's find out, and maybe you can follow along and see if any of those questions apply to you. I will read down from a list of questions that I've written down, and then I'll go a little bit further and help you to find out where you stand. So the first question would be, do you find yourself spending more time on your smartphone than you realize? Good question. Do you find yourself mindlessly passing time on a regular basis by staring at your smartphone, even though there might be better or more productive things to do? Do you seem to lose track of time when you're on your phone? I do. So yes. Do you find yourself spending more time texting, tweeting, or emailing as opposed to talking to real-time people? Has the amount of time you spend on your cell phone been increasing? And do you secretly wish you could be a little less wired or connected to your cell phone? Do you sleep with your smartphone or on or under your pillow or next to your bed regularly, and do you pick it up first thing in the morning? Do you find yourself viewing and answering texts, tweets, and emails at all hours of the day and night, even when it means interrupting other things you are doing, having dinner with friends, watching TV while texting while driving, so many different things? So yes, that's a very, very good question. And are you constantly on? Are you able to give yourself time off? Are you able to give yourself 15 minutes off the phone, 5 minutes off the phone, as I spoke about in my last video, where we have to learn to basically spend time doing nothing? And that doesn't mean you basically not doing anything and you're not getting bored, but you're spending time in the open space and experiencing what is there without getting anxious. Do you feel your use of your cell phone actually decreases your productivity at times? Do you feel reluctant to be without your smartphone even for a short time? Goes back to 5 minutes of nothingness. When you leave the house, you always have your smartphone with you, and you feel ill at ease or uncomfortable when you accidentally leave your smartphone in the car at home, or you have no service, or it is broken. When you eat meals, is your cell phone always part of the table place setting? I think many people can say yes to that. When your phone rings, beeps, buzzes, do you feel an intense urge to check for texts, tweets, or emails? And do you find yourself mindlessly checking your phone many times a day, even when you know there's likely nothing new or important to see, because it's just an ingrained behavior? Do you feel phantom vibration? I have felt that before, absolutely. So I think these are good questions, and I give credit to the person who wrote them. It's really important to think about those things for a second, because we are all unconsciously following along the increase of device usage, and no one is asking themselves, what does it really do to our brain? What does it do to our body? What does it do to our mind? So there's new terminology coming out that tries to define what humans are experiencing. And the first thing, and I don't want to get again too medical or technical, is nomophobia, the fear of going without your phone. Nomophobia. Okay, interesting word. Look it up. Textophrenia, the fear that you cannot send or receive text because you have no reception or you're somewhere traveling and you cannot be connected at all times. And then the phantom vibrations, which we all know, the feeling that your phone is alerting you when it really is not. We have all experienced that. So, these are all good questions to ask yourself as a beginning. And, to be aware, what does this phone addiction lead you to, or what could it lead to? It could definitely lead you to sleep deficit, lower concentration, lower productivity, some ADD, ADHD, some anxiety, reduced cognition, stress, loneliness, insecurity, neck pain, breathing issues, because also the latest studies show when people check texts or emails, they hold their breath up here. They don't breathe down. They don't breathe into their entire body. They're all up in their head. It's all like jittery, nervous, and twitchy. So it can lead to psychological disorders. And I think this is really enough info and enough content and research that's out there to ask ourselves if we want to really evaluate how our relationship with our device is. So when I asked this question at the beginning of the video, are you addicted to your phone? It's not me to judge you. I think you have to be your own judge. But I want to help you in this video to create some awareness. And the first step in creating an awareness is basically to become aware of your behavior and track your behavior. So even though Apple and Google, the biggest phone or software manufacturers in the mobile space, or the only ones you could say, have been aware of this issue, doesn't mean they actually consciously encourage you to use your device less. But what they've done, and we got to give them credit for that, they've created a screen time app on iOS, and they've created a digital well-being app on Android. And I want to show you right now how to set those apps up and how you can start tracking yourself, and maybe start tracking yourself for a week or 2 or 4 weeks, and then see what you find. See how many times you use your phone, see how long you use your phone, see your behavioral patterns, and that will create an awareness. And then if you follow along with the next videos that I'm producing, I want to give you some strategies how to basically mitigate that addiction, or let's not call it addiction yet because we don't know, but let's, develop strategies that help you to be more at ease, to have more boundaries, to feel freer, have more free space of mind, experience more joy, more happiness, and be ultimately a more happier person. So that's some of my motivation here, is to really bring people back, log into yourself, to find the inner joy, the inner peace, the inner relaxation, the inner creativity and intuition that's all inherent in us. But most of us really cover that up with constantly being on the device, with constantly filling up space, with constantly connecting and tweeting and texting and whatnot. But it's interesting to follow the path and see what's there, and how much more creative or how much more inspiring you can become, and how much more intuition you can have, and not actually have Google tell you what's right or wrong, but has the intuition, the connection to your gut feeling come up and telling you this is the right path. And this is getting lost in our society. This is 100% true. And we will talk about that in later videos. But now let me share my screen and let's take a look how to set up those apps and how you can get started with tracking your device usage. So here we go. We'll start with a digital well-being app for Android. So you can just go, I'm not going to the app itself, on wellbeing.google.com. And, they have actually a whole website developed for that. What's good: unplug more often, minimize distractions. I think these are really good, important pieces of advice here. But let's just take a look here. You go to your settings and you find the digital well-being app, and you have to turn it on if it's not already turned on, sorry. And so here you will see very, very simple, and I don't want to focus on too many details yet. I just want to focus on 3 basic stats. Number 1 is like, how many times have you unlocked your phone today or in a week? How many notifications have you received in a day and in the week? And how much time total have you spent on that device in a given day and in a given week? So that's all you want. So of course, you can go way more granular and way more detailed. What kind of apps did you use? You can, if you scroll down here, you can set limitations for apps. You can see you spend 41 minutes to stay on YouTube, on Gmail, and that's all helpful. But again, I don't want to go into too much detail. You can also simplify your home screen. You can set focus modes. You can organize your apps that show up at a certain time. But again, this is all like crutches, okay? So I don't want to go into those details. We will make videos about this later on, and give you some helpful tools to do that. But at the end of the day, the real change happens when you become aware of your behavior and you make a decision inside yourself to make that change. And the app can only take you so far, okay? So let's take a look at the iOS app. It's called Screen Time. Same thing. You go to your settings, go to Screen Time, and you tap to turn your screen time on. Okay. So there's another feature with that you can also turn it on all your devices. So if you are in the Apple ecosystem, you can turn it on your MacBook or whatever MacBook Air what you have, and your iPad. And so basically the app will then record your screen time across all devices, and you can separate it and see how much time you spend on each of them. Again, you see here too, 47 minutes spent total today, and then you picked up your phone X amount of times and you spent the total time of that, and you also received X amount of notifications. So that's it. So that's what I would recommend if you want to become aware and answer your own question. If you're addicted to the devices, and let's start here. Let's turn those apps on and let's check in at the beginning or the end of every day and see how much time you spend, how many times you've picked it up. If you want to go a step further, I've created a spreadsheet that I will also share in the bottom of this video in the description. It's very simple. You can do that on a piece of paper. You can use my spreadsheet, whatnot, but this spreadsheet is crucial. It will give you the insight that you need. And in my opinion, the app doesn't give it to you in that clear manner, okay? So, and that's just an example. I, for example, have 4 different devices. I have an iPhone, I have an iPad, I have a MacBook, and I have a TV, okay? So then, for example, on Sunday, January 1st, my iPhone I picked up 10 times. I received 10 notifications, and I spent a total time of 1 hour and 30 minutes on it. On Wednesday, for example, January 4th, I picked it up 20 times. I got 15 notifications, and I spent a total of 28 minutes on the phone. I picked up my iPad 11 times, got 11 notifications, and spent 2 hours and 57 minutes on the iPad. And I guess I didn't work on that day, but if you take a look at another work day, for example, on Friday, I picked up or opened my MacBook 4 times, got 23 notifications, and I think I worked a lot. I spent 5 hours, 41 minutes on my MacBook. And I think that's also good to see, you know, if that's your working device, if you write something, whatever job you have, I'm sure you spend a lot of time on the computer. That's a little time that we can evaluate later on. What do you really do in that time? But right now, I just want to get I want you to get an overview of how you spend your digital time. Then I also added like my TV time, and that's very roughly estimated. Okay, I watched an hour of 30 minutes on TV on that Friday. And so if you basically sum all of that up, you can see that over that week, the first week in January, I picked up my devices 265 times. I got 371 notifications, and I spent a total amount of 52 hours in that week given on all my devices. So that is that's like more than 2 full days in that 7-day period I spent on my devices. So let that sink in. And that's just an example. I don't know how your statistics look like, but I just want to be transparent here. I spent 2 full days, more than 2 full days on my devices. So I don't know how much information I consumed, all of that stuff that I took in, how much was valuable, how much was worthless, how much was just entertainment or just spacing out. These are the questions that you should ask yourself. So I will post this sheet in the bottom of this video, and I want to encourage you to do the same thing, to really try and record your screen time. And yes, it might feel uncomfortable. No one wants to, it's easier to have an Apple Watch that tracks your steps and all of that. You don't have to do much. But the exercise here is to be a little bit uncomfortable, to write it down and to become aware of like, wow, when I see that, and I've been doing this for the last year, then I'm like, wow, I really spent 2 full days in front of a screen? What am I doing? Is that really the most productive time I can spend? And what am I taking in? Who is controlling the information that I'm taking in? Is this all willingly, consciously, intentionally intended by me? So these are the questions I'm asking myself. So if you are interested in improving your life and improving your well-being, improving your creativity, your intuition, and so much more that will come, try it out and put some comments in the notes of that video. I'd like to hear from you, and then we'll give you feedback too. But for now, that's it. Thanks for your time, and be well.